Hi everyone, welcome back to the program. Next to me is Arnaud Frederic.
Hi guys.
Director of Sales at Gruaud Larose. Yeah, and we will have a nice conversation between two friends. We have a small tasting of the 2019 vintages of Gruaud Larose and Sargent. And yeah, we will talk about so many things, so yeah.
Hi guys, so thank you Yannick for your time. It's always a pleasure to get you around. I think today
always happy to come.
You're gonna have to work again to start to try those wines. It's gonna be in 2019 for Château Gruaud Larose and for Gruaud Larose for the Château wine as well. And I'm more than happy to exchange with you about the estates and.
Okay, great. So before we talk about the history and stuff like that, let's have a small quick taste.
Of course. So let's start with the second label, which is Sargent de Gruaud Larose, with the brand new labels. We changed it for vintage 2017 actually.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for the 2019 Sargent.
We have run, we will talk about that later on, but we have run so many changes in the vineyard and in the cellar, and 2019 is, in my opinion, one of the best vintage ever produced at the estate. You will see, it really amazed me, the tannin structure, the potential of this wine is just crazy. Obviously, the second label is just a small step towards the Château wine, but please try it and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, for sure. Oh wow!
Of course, we're gonna have to figure out what the wine's gonna be in the future because it's really young.
But it's not crazy to open up a bottle if you receive in a couple of months.
Yeah.
If you're lucky to have more bottles, you're not doing something wrong with drinking. It's really approachable.
Definitely, you know.
To take a sip.
Very often at the moment, people like to talk about tasting windows because back in the days. Look, those kind of wines are really produced to be aged in the cellar for a while and then enjoyed after 10, 20, 30 years, not for the second label, but for the first wine at least. But the thing is, regarding all the work we have done in the vineyard and in the cellar as well, I mean, in terms of harvest dates, the way we do the winemaking process, I'm pretty sure the wine's going to age for a long time, but we can enjoy them sooner because the tannin structure are there, but really precise. We like, instead of more than precision, I'd like to talk about purity. And that's probably the reason why, in terms of tasting window, we can enjoy them sooner, but it's going to last for such a long time in the future because the freshness is there, the acidity as well. But because this is really pure, you can start already start to enjoy them right now.
Yeah, you have very fruity palate, so it's But you convinced me to buy Sargent, I think from the 2018 vintage.
Yes.
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible.
You know, 1918, it's very nice because it's like brother and sisters. 18, it's the kind of vintage that tells you, okay, come over, we're gonna have good fun. It's really fruity, not jammy, but very, lots of complexity, but it's really food forward. 19 is more classic. Yeah. The tannin structure is rather strong than the 18, even though on the 18 there is such a strong tannin structure. But this one is very classic, very aristocratic. The 2018 is something more pleasing, for the in terms of food forward aspect. It's going to be enjoyable sooner than the 19. But for me, 19 is just more classic, but in a good way.
For sure. So yeah, let's continue enjoying the Sargent, and when we see for the Grand.
We have time.
So a lot has happened the last few years or the last decade at Gruaud.
So yeah, I'd like to say first few words about the history because it's very important to figure out what happened in the past, what is Gruaud right now, and what will be Gruaud in the future. So basically, in the past, everything started in 1725 when an abbot called Mr. Gruaud started to plant some vines in the area. He started from scratch basically and went from 0 to 82 hectares. It was in 1784, and we still have 82 hectares at the moment. Obviously, this is no longer the same vine stock, but this is the same plots. And it's very important for what we do right now, what we will do in the future. Afterwards, he gave the estate to his nephew, who was a knight. He was called Mr. de Larose. And it became Gruaud Larose because of the link of the two names, Abbot Gruaud and Knight de Larose. He got the estates for 20 years, and unfortunately, he died during the French Revolution. Take a wild guess how. So yes, it was a pretty tough time at that time in France. And then, by justice's decision, the estate was split in two parts, owned by two famous négociants from Bordeaux, the Four-Bettman family and the Baron Sarget family. Okay. It was 1824. And Baron Sarget, one of the two shareholders of the estate, truly believed in the potential of Gruaud Larose, and he features the estate to so many award, competitions, and we are very pleased to see we have one in the kitchen. I can show you later on. Yeah, okay. We have a few papers that show that Gruaud Larose was a kind of leading horse of the appellation back in the day. So we always had a very nice history at Gruaud Larose, but since the arrival of Jean Merlot, which was in 1997, who's the current owner, he's a real wine grower, and just before the two owners were financial investors, don't get me wrong, it was something good for the chateau because they invested a lot of money to refurbish the chateau and so on. But they forgot maybe the most important thing is the vineyard. And since the arrival of Mr. Merlot, we decided to first put the stress on what happened in the vineyard, which is, in our opinion, the most important thing. For sure. Yeah. So something you need to understand is here in the Médoc, not only at Gruaud Larose, but in the Médoc, back in the day, they used to put the Merlot at the top of the slope and the Cabernet Sauvignon at the bottom. They used to do that for one reason. They were afraid about the frost. And frost is something. We will talk about that later on, but it's really something here. And the reason why they put the Cabernet Sauvignon at the bottom of the slope, don't get me wrong, this is not the Pyrenees Mountains, but you can see there's two really gravel now on the estate. And at the bottom of the slope, they put that to be protected because the ripeness of the Cabernet Sauvignon takes more time to be ripe than the Merlot. So that's the reason why they put that at the bottom of the slope and the Merlot at the top. Regarding the kind of soil we have here, we have really poor soil, really acid soil on terrace 4. This is the name of this kind of soil. It suits perfectly the Cabernet Sauvignon. There is very good acidity and porousness inside the soil, and that's perfect for the Cabernet Sauvignon. And at the bottom of the slope, this is more clay sandy kind of soil, so this is perfect for the Merlot. Yep. We had to switch up to 50% of the estate. It was quite an investment, and something very important for you guys to understand, Gruaud Larose is a family-owned company, and it's very important regarding the next generation because you don't work only for you, you work for the next generation. For sure. And if you take a step back and you think about that for a sec, you will understand that take out vines, leave the soil rest for 5 years, replant it, and then wait the right moment to get the vine stock at full throwing. It's such a...
that was my next question. How long is the process? It will take a long time.
Between 15 to 20 years before being able before the time you take the decision to take out vines and you replant it, and you leave the soil rest, you replant it, and then after you leave the vine stock grow. By the time they can produce the first wine. Wow. And that's the reason why at the moment we have more second label than the first wine. One of the main assets of the estate is to get 82 hectares, but get those 82 hectares all around the chateau. Yeah. This is a so-called single block estate. And in terms of terroir homogeneity, this is just something amazing. The best plots are over there. And in regards to what we have done in the vineyard, it's going to take a little while before getting all the entire estates ready to produce. Of course, we're still going to have second label and first label, but at the moment we produce 35% first label and it's going to be 65% second label. The potential at Gruaud Larose is probably 50-50.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting to know. And then for all the mix-up, all the changes that has been made, it is final now, or do you have some more vineyards to go, or is it? I don't know.
No, it's a very good question because I think when you do this kind of thing, first of all, the main thing you need to understand is everything is on the long term. So every decision you take is for 30 years-ish. And second thing is, we have done so many things on the estates, but it's never finished. And that's the reason why our job is just amazing.
There's no finish line.
There is no finish.
Keeps on going.
My father used to be the vineyard manager here for 30 years, and he told me when he retired 2 years ago, he told me, you know, I've done 30 vintage here, and I haven't seen any vintage that were exactly the same.
Yeah, that's great.
Every year is different. You get different weather conditions, different people, different feelings, because there is the weather conditions, there is the terroir, and your reaction towards the terroir, and there is also your feelings. And the future will be probably in the way we can understand how a terroir, how to work with it very closely.
Yes, it's very important. So I also remember that you do biological practices?
Yes. Organic.
Yeah.
Organic. No, you're right, because vintage 2017 we were 30% biodynamic. With vintage 2018 we were 60% biodynamic, and since vintage 2019 we are 100% organic. We are still running some trials under the biodynamic techniques, but we are 100% organic. It takes 3 years before getting the certification. So if we are doing things right, normally 2022 will be our first vintage with a patent.
Okay.
But instead of talking about organic, for us, organic is just a way to be more respectful towards the environment.
Yeah.
We have different principles, but the first principle we use is the principle of sustainable development. Because there is three different circles in the definition of sustainable development. The first definition is the environment. Obviously, if you do this kind of thing, is to be respectful towards the environment. It makes sense. There's no subject about that. But there is another circle that crosses the first one, the environmental. This is the social aspect. Why? Because the project has to be viable for the people who work here. When you launch this kind of process, you definitely need to get all the workforce involved in the project. You work with, let me break things down for you. You work with prophylaxis when you're organic. It means that you're going to have to spray, basically, if you would have to summarize the situation, you would have to spray if something happened tomorrow. So if it's raining on Monday, you're going to have to spray on Sunday. Yeah. And because we are still running some trials in terms of biodynamic techniques, sometimes we spray just before the sunrise. Yeah. So it means when you have a family party on Sunday, you have to call all the workforce, they have to come on the estate, they have to spray at 4 a.m. in the morning. So this is nothing funny. This is just...
it's very serious.
They truly need to be involved in the project and understand this is good for, first of all, for the environment, but for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they spray only good product, so-called good product. So there is the social aspect. We also use what we call RSE and SME. This is a kind of management systems that are more respectful towards the environment and towards people who works here. So every water we use, we have a water treatment plant. That's just an example. Oh, wow. We have so many different things here, and we have our French organisms that are not paid that we involve in the process. They control us, they check the water we use, the electricity and so on. They give us a rate and we try to be better year after year. Wow. We don't have to do that, it's just for us it's very important. Yeah. And the second thing is also the people who works here. Nowadays we have all the tools, not all of them, I'm saying something wrong, we don't have all the tools, but we're moving towards something better. For pruning, for example, they have the scissors, electric scissors.
It's a small thing, huh?
Yes, but the girls can do the same job than men.
Yeah.
We have exoskeleton as well, so
Wow.
so they can prune. Back in the day, you haven't seen any girls doing that. At the moment, you can go in the vineyard in wintertime, and you can see a woman pruning, and it's very nice because the salary pruning is the most reward job or task in the vineyard. So that's also the part of the system, and there is also the economical part. Obviously, this is why we can't do organic without sustainable development, because if it's only ecologic, it's nice, but if you don't produce any wine, this is not sustainable for the company, and you won't be able to pay the people who works here. So obviously you need to produce a right amount of grapes. Then afterwards, it's going to be the right amount of bottle to be able to get the incomes to pay the salary and
it's like
to
a real big circle.
Yes, yes,
the circle of life.
Yes,
yeah,
and
for sure.
You're right. For environment, instead of organic, we are trying to build a kind of ecosystem, which is actually an ecosystem and based on the food chain base. In the nature, there is the shark who's going to bite this kind of fish and so on, and this is just natural. This is how things work, because it just let's say control the balance of everything. And for 20 to 30 years, all over the world, we've been influenced by chemical producers who told us, we have this kind of problem, just spray this kind of thing and you're going to be protected.
Yeah.
Of course, in the surroundings, all the Grand Cru or the chateau are really respectful towards the environment for ages now. What we used to do here, we did what we called sustainable farming, which was basically we only use copper and sulfur, but we spray only with something was needed. My father told me when I was young, I grow my vine stock like I grow you. I don't want to give you too many pills, but when you're really sick, I want to be able to give you something that will heal you, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Not to over...
Exactly, and it's just to be a matter of respect towards the environment, but being able to be proactive when something happens.
For sure.
Nowadays, we move a step further with organic, under the organic legislation. We can only use copper and sulfur. We have to run under prophylaxia techniques. Okay. So it's such a big change in terms of vineyard management. Yeah. We've never been every year. It's being close to your vineyard, but it's with vintage 2021. We'll talk about that as far as I understand about this vintage later on. 21 was definitely the kind of vintage when you needed to be daily in the morning and in the afternoon in the vineyard, check what happened in terms of weather conditions, because you work with prophylaxia, you work with a moving environment, and you need to listen to guess what the future will be and take the right decision. Yeah,
I think in general, more wineries need to go that direction. I think it's the logical thing to do.
You know, the very interesting thing at the moment, the first thing I'd like to say prior explaining that, is that it's not because you're not organic that you're not clean, because of the sustainable farming techniques, because it costs a lot of money. And if you think about that for a second, sometimes when you're organic at the moment, it won't be the case in the future, because time after time, the soils will be more prepared, we're going to have more tools, so we will be more effective in terms of production and technical path. But it's very money consuming at the moment, and you might produce less than you could. Because of organic techniques, but because we are growth, we have to follow these steps. It's probably the world teach us how to behave, and even without that, we live thanks to the environment.
For sure.
So, and you were mentioning about the food chain. you know, at the bottom of the slope over there, there is a let's say a so-called there is a forest. It's not that big, but there is a forest. This area is called Natura 2000. In France, Natura 2000 is a kind of a French legislation where you enforced to do special things. You can spray, you can do anything. It's a very
protected, or
it's 100% protected by the French government. Yeah. It's what we call a biocenosis. It means that there is it's pure nature, full of wildlife. Okay. And for us, in order to rebuild this food chain, we work with agroforestry, which means that we planted more than 3,000 trees on the estates. Wow. And the idea is getting all those wildlife moving from there to our vineyard. In order to get this natural exchange between all the species. That's nice. And we also work under the Miyawaki techniques. I don't know if you heard about the Miyawaki forest.
First time.
He was a very famous Japanese biologist in the 1970s. And you can basically see his jobs everywhere. You can see the job on the border of the highway to protect the sound, not getting too much sound out of the highway. Okay. You can see it on a very big slope. They plant trees to avoid any gravel dumping. To keep it safe. Okay. You have it on a river in order to avoid flooding. Wow. And the force using is in agriculture. We plant basically 3 trees on 1 meter square, very tiny. Yeah. The idea is getting 3 trees, a small, a medium one, and a big one. The biggest one is the closest to the sun, and they compete each other, and they grow really fast. And what's going to happen after 3 years? It's a boom forest, a primary forest. Wow. You need to use endemic species, obviously, that are able to grow in the area. And after 3 years, it's a boom forest. Wow. And where any human can get through because it's too tiny. But all the birds and so on, they can go through and live on the estate. And we have a Miyawaki forest here. So all the agroforestry, getting all the species moving to the vineyard, but also being allow them to live on the estate. Oh. And the last thing I want to say about that is obviously all the species won't stop at the estates. They don't have the pass. Yes. So we stopped. This is no longer Gruaud Larose. So we decided to work with our neighbor. It's in my opinion, it's not only Gruaud Larose. It's a matter of
the whole.
It's a global view
for sure. Yeah, that's why I think it's normal that more wineries and neighbors of wineries should work together, especially for projects like that. If just one human rides with a Tesla, an electric car, it's not going to change.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good. So now we tasted 2019. Exciting times ahead.
Yes.
We have in a couple of months the 2021 vintage will release. 18 obviously was great. Great, it was one of my favorite vintages for Saint Julien. 19 was not bad at all. And then 20, in my opinion, it's like both of the 18 and 19 combined. And 2021, what do you think?
I'm lucky enough actually to taste it and do the blending as well.
Oh, that's great.
It's already done because we follow the footsteps of Émile Pénaud, who back in the day liked to do the blending in January in order to get all the wines melting in barrels afterwards and get the time for barrel aging. But yes, we've been spoiled for 3 vintages, 18, 19, 20. It was just a blast. Frankly speaking, we were like, wow, look, we've never seen such beautiful wines. They're all, like you said, then 18 was really the friendly wine, very fruit forward, very creamy, yummy. The 19 was really straight, really classic, in a very, very good way, very Cabernet Sauvignon, very left bank. And 2020 was a kind of in-between wines. 2021 was a very challenging vintage for many reasons. First of all, we had a rather nice bird bursting, but it's just been followed by a frost period. We had actually 2 days of frost. It was already the case in 2017. It didn't touch that much. We didn't suffer that much from it in 2017 because we suffered only at 0.5%.
Okay.
In last year, 2021, we suffered at 5%. So this is not that much,
okay,
but it impacted all the plots that are at the bottom of the slope, only the Merlot plots. It was of course very challenging for us, and we think about it because it happened in 17 and in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that it didn't happen for 20 years. The last one was the real one was 1991, so 1991, a very long time without any frost period, and then frost 2017, frost 2021. So we have to change our way of thinking in terms of pruning and so on. Afterwards, we had weather rainy, flowering and fruit setting. Yeah. So it leads to fruit abortion and mixed size berries.
For sure.
So when you're at this time of the year, it's already condition what will be the future vintage. It means that you're going to have to select all the grapes, works berry per berry, and be really precise in your process. We thought, okay, weather conditions are not that good in June. It's going to be better in July, August. The truth was actually it was really difficult. We had maybe 3 weeks of sun, but we have a lot of rain, so it was really challenging. And then came the harvest time. To summarize, I would say that this vintage was a really oceanic vintage. The climate was really oceanic climate. Mm-hmm. I told you before we needed to take good care of the vineyard right now. It's always been the case, but trust me, the technical team, they went twice, sometimes 3 times a day in every plots to check the ripeness of every variety. It was truly the vintage of wisdom. Yeah. It took wisdom and guts. Mm-hmm. Wisdom, why? Because we needed to take full consciousness of what were happening. Yeah. But guts, because we truly needed to wait.
Sometimes you need to wait. And
yes,
then, yeah,
yes.
I heard some same stories.
Yes, and when you see it's rained yesterday, it's raining, and it's gonna rain tomorrow, you can be somehow in a hurry in your mind and say, mm-hmm. Okay, it's time to harvest the grapes. It seems like it won't be a bright future, but at the end we end up to have Merlot that are really classic, like a left bank style. Okay. Good Merlot, but not that expressive, but Cabernet Sauvignon, for those who waited enough to get the right ripeness of the Cabernet Sauvignon,
was great, right?
It was really nice.
Yeah. So it should balance each other out, you know.
Yes, and in the blend this year, there is 2 reasons. So this year we have 84% Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend, okay. 12% Merlot, and 4% Cab Franc. This is because of the vintage type, but mm-hmm. This is also because of the kind of soil we have here. Yeah. All our best plots at the top of there, this is super great for Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay. And in the future, you guys might wait for at least 80 to 85% Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend at Gruaud Larose.
Whoa. But that's good, eh?
Yeah.
That's why I like the Medoc, of course. Eh? No, and so we were talking about the frost, and also in the 2021. So you had a couple of nights then, small issues.
Yes.
And so you have the bad news. The winemaker gets a phone. We have frost. What do you do? We have a couple of fans on the estates, but we are organic. We don't want to burn anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't say this is bad for that the other do that. This is not our way of working. Yeah. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. And you know, for us. This is nature. We have to accept this kind of thing. The only thing we can do is in the technical path. For sure. For the next year, being more precise, even more precise for pruning, mm-hmm. Choose different strategy to prevent this kind of thing, because
because of the global warming, for 10 to 15 years now, the ripeness of every grape varieties were every year more and more was sooner. You know, back in the day, we used to harvest at the end of September, and for the past 15 years, it was last week of September, the third week of September, and then sometimes the second week of September.
Then you see the climate change.
Yes, and then you see the climate change. And the fun fact is, I remember when I was young, because I was born and raised here. When I was young, the trellis thing was really low. And sometimes it was a bit harsh to reach the perfect maturity of every grape varieties. And for that reason, they decided to higher the size of the trellising in order to get more leaf, so more photosynthesis. And it helped the ripeness of every grape varieties and foremost the Cabernet Sauvignon.
It's an interesting approach.
But
it's logical.
Yes, logical. But at the moment, I'm not talking about 2021.
No.
But let's say 2018, 2019, 2020, we had some Merlots that was at 16. And we are producing wine here to be aged in your cellar. And if you don't have, you need to have the tannin structure. This is not an issue when you have the right temperature, but you need the acidity as well.
For sure.
And if you have too much alcohol content in the wine, you kill. It's going to be. It can be a dull wine, but there is no dull wine in the Grand Cru, but you know exactly what I mean.
Yes.
And if you lose acidity, you lose aging potential. And that's the backbone of the wine. Basically, a Grand Cru, if you would have to summarize briefly the style you find in the region, you have on the left bank, you have the Cabernet Sauvignon, which is the tannin structure, which is the acidity and bring the freshness. And then you have the Merlot, who's going to bring the fruit in the blend and all the yummy part of the wine.
The body.
Yes, and the body and so on. But if you lose the acidity, you lose everything.
That's so important.
And for 2021, things change again. It was difficult because of weather conditions, but nowadays we have so many tools
to adapt
the process, the technical path. They went, the technical team, they went 3 times a day in the vineyard. They wait, like I said, to harvest at the right moment. And when I say take guts, it took really guts to do that. So congratulations to them for what they did. And then when we brought in the cellar, now this is for every vintage, this is the case for 5 years now. We have 4 sorting. The first sorting will take place inside the row. We're gonna have all the guys who works at the estates on a year basis. They don't cut the grapes. They check all the buckets to see there is not too many leaf and take out all the bad grapes. And then afterwards, you have the second sorting during harvest time, which is going to be at the end of the row. We're going to have a big sorting table with 8 people on it. They're going to sort bunch by bunch. And then at the end, we'll dump all the grapes inside a trailer. As we have 82 hectares around the chateau, it doesn't take a while before getting the grapes in the cellar.
For sure.
We have 2 lines outside of the cellar. It's going to be the third sorting. So we have a jumper. We dump all the grapes in the jumper. It's really slow. It goes all the way up. We have a de-steamer, stamps crusher, and then the berry is going to go the other way. And we have a third sorting, which is going to be done by hand. Berry per berry, and then the fourth sorting will be optical sorting system.
Optical sorting one, yeah.
So it means that even on the challenging vintage, you get la crème de la crème.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the cherry picker
for sure.
things.
But that's how it needs to be done. And yeah, you're in a very luxury position to have everything around the chateau. Everything is close distance. Yeah, it's great. You're in a very good position for making good wine.
Yes.
So 2021, people can expect.
Look, for me, the quality is really, really good because the Merlot was okay plus, but the Cabernet are just amazing.
Okay.
The only issue we had because of the sorting we had to do is the yield. The crop was not that big, and we won't be able to have lots of bottles. But 2021 won't be a bad vintage. It's going to be a great vintage. The Cabernet Sauvignon, trust me, we did the blend and we were just amazed by the quality of the Cabernet Sauvignon.
I cannot wait to come back. I think I will return during En Primeur and then we will have a taste.
And you know, people think because we had frost, it's about vintage. No, that's
sure.
that's not the case. The only thing is you need to take the right decision at the right moment.
Yeah.
It's when you have this kind of weather conditions, it means that everything is fragile in the vineyard. If you take the right decision, you can lead your crop at the end without any problem.
Yeah.
But you have to go in the vineyard and spray at the right moment. You have to take good care to harvest the right moment, not in the morning but in the afternoon if it's requested. And the social aspect, you remember social aspect in the sustainable development? Social was very important because we asked all the pickers to stay 1 to 2 hours more per day in order to harvest at the right moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes we went through the plots twice a day, because the 3 first were ready, the 3 others were rent. So
it's like Sauterne style of winemaking.
Kind of. It was really this every year you will hear here in Bordeaux people tell you we need to be really focused, but trust me, 2021 was the plus of this.
For sure, but I'm very excited already, and that's why I don't like, but I already see critics and journalists writing that it's going to be a less of good vintage, and I was like, okay, yeah, but let's first taste the people. Come on, they have so much technology right now. They have so much knowledge, also with experience. The big wineries, they will absolutely smash it, and they will make a good wine.
But I 100% agree with you. And you know, when you mentioned the terms of technology, what I put behind technology is not because we're making things in the wine. It's just because the berry is treated. Instead of getting a grape, we treat everything as a berry. And I told you the strong selection and the techniques, this is exactly that. This is the selection in the vineyard, to be able to go through the vineyard in summertime, to cut all the bad grapes, cut all the bad berries, to leave the rest grow at full swing. And then for harvest time, take the right date, then sort berry per berry in order to vat the right berry in the right vat. And then the vinification. At Gruaud Larose, we decided to carry out the vinification at low temperature because it wasn't that hot last year. And you know, this is technical decision. Of course, I agree on one thing with all the journalists that might say, and they don't all tell that, but the few who say that 2021 will be a difficult vintage, I would say this is more heterogeneous. You will find amazing wines, and all the guys who unfortunately didn't take the right decision at the right moment might go through a difficult patch, but it will depend. So please come over and try it.
That's why I always say, just come to the chateau in person, taste with them, talk with them, make your own opinion, because it's like you say, a lot of journalists they speak in general, but all the chateaux are not in general, you know. And it's also a big difference from, you know, Saint-Julien in Margaux, and then the best way is to taste for your own.
Yes, and you know, that's also something very nice for the final consumer. Every wines, we are really close here. Saint-Julien is the tiniest appellation of the big appellations from the left bank. We have 919 hectares in total, and if you try the wine of Barton, Léoville-Poiferré, and Gruaud Larose, it's totally different. We're neighbors, but it's really different, and that's a good thing. In terms of when you're the final consumer, you're always going to find your pickup depending on what you like. There is no bad wines on the appellation.
For sure.
There's just different wines.
For sure. I think it's like you said, if you're a real wine lover, it's, you know, it depends from primeur en primeur, but previously I would buy 12 of that, 12 of that, 12 of that, but now I'm like, no, I prefer to have just 3 or 4 or 6 of everything.
Yes.
Just because everybody's making good wine, and it really depends on what you want to taste, or what's your style for the evening, or what you're making at home for dinner or lunch. It really depends on or which mood you are.
Exactly.
The wine world is growing really fast
yes.
into that direction. And that's what you also see in the aftermarket.
I agree.
On auctions, on websites that people sell their wines because they're like, okay, yeah, I prefer to have different wineries and to enjoy more wines to have more experiences.
Exactly.
So yeah, we shall see. I love this. It's again, I wouldn't say it's a 19.
Yes, but
if you told me, because we like to play the game. If you told me, and it was blind, if you told me, look, Yannick, it's a 17. I wouldn't say, yeah, okay. Yeah. you could fool me with that.
Yes.
Even a 14 or 13.
Yeah, it's
wow.
It's amazing, and there is different drivers. Gruaud Larose is really well known for two things: for the elegance and for the aging potential. I would add right now the purity in the style. This is it's like when you try the 19. It's like the first sip. When you right after putting it in your mouth, it's like being sitting on a couch, like we are right now, and you're like, okay, everything is at the right position, and it's like it starts moving towards the mid palate, and we are moving up, 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 and the mid palate is there. And what's going to happen? You will have the entire tannin structure is there. There is lots of freshness, lots of acidity,
for sure.
but this is not harsh.
No.
You can see this is really.
It's very delicate. It's delicate. It's very elegant.
Yes,
that's the word.
What's differentiate a great wine from a fantastic wine is the purity. You have the impressions. When sometimes you try a great wine, it's very nice, and you get, oh, I like the fruit, or I like the tannin structure, or I like, but you miss something because I like this, but I don't get it. I don't get that, and
this is all in it.
Here, you work on a straight line where everything is at the right place and well balanced. This is really powerful, but really elegant. There's not a punch in the face. The tannins is there. It's really there. It's just carry the fruit.
For sure.
And when you're in the mid palate, you can see the berry. When you get it in your mouth, you see the berry, you see the fruit.
You imagine it, and you dream away, and then like.
Exactly. And at the end of the mouth, it's still going up. It's never ending. The caudalie of this wine is just crazy. And you get the fragrance, you get the salinity as well, and you get the cedar taste of the Cabernet Sauvignon.
And how long was it on barrel?
So we put them for 18 months.
Okay. Wow, it's lovely. The balance is great.
But you mentioned something very interesting. Thank you very much, Yannick. It's you mentioned the word jammy. It was somehow a trend here in Bordeaux, not at Gruaud Larose, but in Bordeaux. People thought for a certain amount of time that having this kind of wine was the fruit. But at Gruaud Larose, we have never followed this kind of footsteps. We truly believe that the wine we produce must stick to our history and to our terroir. And the kind of wine we have here, this is not a matter of over-extraction. This is a matter of getting the right extraction. Sure. You have a line here. You don't want to cross in terms of extraction. You need to flirt with it.
Yeah, you can go to the border.
You can go exactly. Yeah. Sometimes, but I'll tell you a little secret. Not all the plots, but the best plots we have here, and it's the case for all the chateaus, the best chateaus that have really the grand terroir.
Okay.
At Gruaud Larose, this is probably on 30-ish hectares. We can do that. You can slightly cross the line. This is called soil elasticity, because I just mean to say that you cannot cross the line. Otherwise, this is over-extraction. This is a hard tannin structure. The reality is this is the case for most of the plots. But the best plots, they're so nice that they will correct the time. If you cross the line, it's going to be too much. But if you just grow like this, the first steps, you will get this supplement of soul in the wine. You won't find if you don't go there. And that's the reason why the winemaker needs to understand its terroir.
Yes.
It takes time. And we have Mrs. Virginie Salette, who is our technical director. And she's there for 4 years now. The first vintage, she truly followed her thought, and now she's starting to get the feelings of the vineyard.
For sure.
And she's slightly moving towards something more to be at the listen of your terroir.
For sure. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, if you're new at the position as in a chateau and you have a big you have big decisions to make, of course you need to adapt and give it a few years.
Yes.
For sure. So for the upcoming between now and 5 years, are there big steps or big changes that people can hear about soon, or I don't know?
A company, it's the same for everybody in your lifestyle and for everybody. If you don't move, it means that you stay at the same situation, so you're already moving backward.
Yeah, for sure.
And innovation, that's the word, that's the key word for us. And if you come on the estate, guys, you will see this is not a marketing pitch, that's truly the case.
Yeah, even funnier, because if you have some visitors, it's mostly during the summer, so there's some works there.
Yeah.
But for me, example, I'm always in Bordeaux to do business, but even then when it's raining, I see sometimes 10, 20, 30 people in the vineyards.
Yes.
They're working.
Yeah.
They're working. So it's indeed not a sales pitch, it's just like that. Yeah.
And one of the main assets of Bordeaux, which is also a difficult thing on a daily basis, is that we have here at the estate we have 82 hectares. La Grange, this is 120.
Yeah.
You will find it's most of the time on the big scale.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
I say big scale, this is not 1,000 hectares, but 80 hectares of Grand Cru, that's quite a thing.
For sure.
And being able to produce 300,000 bottles of amazing wine,
it's not an easy task.
It's not an easy task.
And it shouldn't be, eh?
When you have 1 hectare, it's not the same thing. Here you need to have such a strong workforce, being able to go on a daily basis in your vineyard to do this kind of job.
Makes it fun.
Yeah, exciting.
Now the interesting thing is that I'm having a conversation with someone, director of sales. If I see in the future, for my opinion, I see a lot of changes happening.
Yes.
And starting from the primeur and how the perspective of people are that that they see the prices, that they maybe want to buy directly from the wineries. Maybe I don't know. It's a really delicate, subject. But I think more and more people will ask themselves like, why I can buy wines directly to support the wineries directly, and that I 100% know that nothing happened with it, the best conditions, stuff like that, but it will have a big influence on the market.
Yes.
You have the wine merchants, you have the négociants. So, but what do you think? What will happen in the future? I say maybe 5 or 6, 7 years.
Wow, it's a good question.
Yeah.
No, it's not difficult. I'm feeling really pleased with this question for one reason. For me, the Place de Bordeaux, which is the name of the sailing system in Bordeaux, which means that we sell the wine through negotiations. There is a wine broker in the middle, and then they resell the wine to importers, distributors, and so on, retailers, and the final consumers. I know on the paper it sounds a lot of profit margin for nothing, but the system is, in my opinion, very interesting. It's been criticized for ages. You're going to find people going to tell you, yeah, it's hard. The truth is, the wine from the entire world at the moment trying to be distributed through the Place de Bordeaux. Why? Because you have, in total, this is ish 400 negotiants. For Grand Cru, this is way less. This is a bit more than 100 negotiants. And the key players, this is less than 50. All those guys, they hire very qualified people, the one who buy, who sell the wines. They come here very often. They know what we do, what was the estate in the past, what's going to be the estate in the future. They know the pricing. They trying to stick to a market reality. And I think this system is good. You're always going to find pros and cons and everything, right? But the system is good for everybody because for us, it's the guarantee that the wine will be sold to the right consumer because with them, we try to build a distribution strategy that fit to our wine and what we want to do on the market. And at the end, there is so many estates here, and if you don't know anything about wine, you just want to have time and have good fun.
For sure.
What will you buy? You told me, you told before in the conversation that back in the day you bought 12 bottles of this one, 12 bottles of this one, and now you'd like six. But the reason why you do that is because you come here. For sure. We are good friends. And you know the area quite well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that all your friends know the area the way you do.
And that's why I ask, because all of them, they're starting like, so the wine world in general, not only Bordeaux. So everybody, everything is downsizing because everything is so approachable now, not for dating, but I mean, you have so many different wines that are good and new countries that are developing and making so good wines. So for example, I have a good friend, he started with Bordeaux, like probably 90% of all wine lovers start with Bordeaux, drinking Bordeaux. And then he's reading about wine or he's going to WSET, I don't know. But in 2 years, 3 years, now he has more wine, more different wines in his cellar than I have. So he's like, okay, but I don't understand. That's his perspective. Like why the en primeur, for example, is 2 years. And that's for a lot of people. So we do it in a WhatsApp chat.
Yes.
So a lot of them like, yeah, actually yes. Because for example, Spain wine is maximum 6 months of waiting. Burgundy, the same. Italy, the same. So that's the questions that are, rising now. And it's what you say, those critic points were maybe here for generations, but now the world is smaller. You have platforms that one person says it, and he's like, yeah, I have the same question. So, for example, on Facebook, everybody can read it, everybody can answer it. So it's a smaller world. So then the problem rises very quickly in eyes of the chateau. So that's why I asked the question, what do you think in the future? But I think it's always going to last, Place de Bordeaux, but I think it's just going to downsize a little bit.
Maybe.
We shall see.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But if
it's a delicate situation, I know.
No, it's interesting, and it's definitely a question interesting to ask. If people comes here, we have a tourism part here, department. You can buy some wine here if you want to. It's not an issue at all. But like you said, communication. Well, this is a subject that is it doesn't stick only to wine. In life at the moment, this is only my opinion. But we are living in a world where there is so much communication,
for sure.
but not much communication.
Yeah.
Because people exchange, but
they say something.
No longer exactly.
But then if you see them face to face, like
exactly, but no longer really communicate.
Yeah.
And what I like about the La Place and the en primeur system. This is those wines are great wines. They are classified growth wines, and when you decide to buy this kind of wine, it's truly that you're either interested in wine or you want to discover a new world. But in both situations, they probably have heard about it, but they want to learn more. And if nobody at the end we all have special question. We can put a subject on the table. We have 3 here, and we're not gonna have the same opinion.
For sure.
So
that makes it fun as well.
You know, it's like I said before, it's pros and cons.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I think it's something interesting to talk about. It's pure coincidental that you're head of sales, director of sales. So that's why I asked you, because yeah, it's not a problem, but a lot of people ask me because they always see me traveling, and I always tell them I have a project in Bordeaux. So they're like, oh, maybe he's going to do something with the Imprimeur issue. I was like, an issue? They're like, yeah, I don't get it. Why we need to wait 2 years? And I'm like, yeah, actually, he's right. And and then the other one comments, yeah, actually, yeah, why? And so it's like a snowball effect, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, we shall see.
The wine. This is the first answer I would give if I was you. Is definitely this is Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon en Grand Cru terroir, and Cabernet Sauvignon en Grand Cru terroir means that they have such a strong tannin structure, and the barrel work you have to do on the wine it can last 6 months. It can, sure. But you will lose something. Sure. It's like if you take Usain Bolt and you tell him go to the Olympic Games without training.
But how many years is already that system? 150 years, no?
Yes.
So it's also traditional.
Yeah,
that's my
tradition.
main answer.
Yeah,
it's tradition.
It's tradition.
It's tradition.
It's tradition, and it works like this in Bordeaux for wine. But like I said before, this system has been criticized for ages. And the funny thing is, at the moment, all the big names from Spain, from Italy, from New Zealand, Australia, America, even China at the moment, they come to see all the negotiations in Bordeaux. Hey guys, will it be possible to be distributed by your system?
For sure.
Because then you can, instead of getting people coming at the winery, which is definitely a good thing, there is nothing wrong about it. But the estates can build a real strategy. They can say, okay, we want to, because at the end, reaching the final consumer is not something easy.
No.
Because it's quite easy for us, for you guys from Belgium. It's not that far. You can do the trip, but if you live in Colombia, in Wallis and Futuna, it's not the same thing. And trust me, if we wouldn't have this kind of systems, you probably still have wine in Belgium, for sure, but you won't have wine in New Zealand, or it won't be the same thing, at least less.
For sure.
So
you know that I have always something in the back of my mind. So I think I will, if I can think out loud, I think the world will be ready in 7 or 10 years for the idea that I have in the back in my mind.
Okay.
So then I will come back, and I pitch the idea. What other subjects can we talk about? Do you have anything that you want to, just to really mention to the viewers or to the listeners that you want to share about Gruaud?
Yes, for Gruaud, for wine, actually, for me, wine is a matter of passion. The level of investment in terms of technical path, in terms of, let's say, winemaking process, is so important here. We take so much care. It's a lot of work to produce this kind of wine. And my decision would be, please try to learn more about how we produce wine, our idea behind the bottle, and understand that we are not trying producing wine just to stick to the market. We produce wine that are from here, from this terroir, not even from our neighbor, but from here, from Gruaud Larose. And the winemaker, if you put the same winemaker here working in the next door for the next winery, he won't be able to produce the same wine than the one we produce here because of this reason. So my advice would be take the time. It's quite an investment to be involved in the process of buying great growth Bordeaux. If you want to come over, and it will be a pleasure to host you here, please come here. Come to see what we do, what it takes to produce a Grand Cru. This is not something easy, trust me.
Well, in the description, I will make the website, the email that they can visit if they have questions of anything. Easy contact.
And whenever you will have the knowledge of what we do here, I'm pretty sure you have another point of view in terms of pricing, because people will tell you Bordeaux wines are very expensive. let me say something to you regarding the quality, not only at Gruaud Larose, but in all the big names here, and even the so-called petit chateau, little estate. You have an amazing quality everywhere. And in regards to the aging potential and the quality of the wine, the price are really nice.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. I always say, I have to be honest, you know that. Some people, if I post something about Gruaud, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit too expensive for me, which perfectly is normal. If for some people 30 euros can be expensive for a bottle of wine. But I tell them, if you visit Gruaud Larose and you have maybe the opportunity to taste 1 or 2 or maybe 3 vintages, it's hard to not buy one. And then they're like, okay. And then sometimes I had one friend that shared that opinion, and I was visiting the Belgian coast. When I came back, I had one of the bottles that we I had it in my car. Normally I wanted to open it at the Belgian coast. Something got between, and I was like, let me visit him. So that was a 2001.
Yes.
I was like, okay, you changed my mind. And that was only with the 2001. So imagine nowadays, you know, so yeah, you have an extra customer. But taste the wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Taste the wine, that's the best thing you can do, for sure.
And wine is, you know, this is not booze. This is another thing. Yeah. This is truly a way of life. And drink less, but drink wisely. Sure. The more you know, the more precise you will be in your buying system, and you'll be precise and get the right bottle in your cellar and enjoy it at the right moment. And you will see it's not alcohol. This is truly a passion, history, and everything.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of people think that we drink the wine and booze it up like it's nothing, but yeah. 2 weeks ago we had a big tasting, 6 people, 21 bottles. Not all the bottles were drinking, you know, it was like more the bottles like not even half empty, just because we love the process, we love the wines, we respect the wineries, and then we taste. So I know for a fact that it's not only you that works here, you know, your father as well, so you have a long history and some, you know, you have a long history with the winery. So I can imagine that you have, people are interested to hear something more about you, how the passion came, who was maybe your idol or your mentor that like, oh yeah, now I want to do something in wine, and that's the person that got me into it?
When I was young, to be honest with you, I wanted to do everything but working in a winery for one reason, because my father was really passionate about wine, and even during summertime for holiday season, sometimes we took the car, drive 8 hours, and after 2 days we had a call from the chateau, it's raining or there is a storm in the estate, so we need to go back. And I was like, I don't want to do that. But you know, you're 7 years old and you don't understand what it takes. During my background, I had the occasion to work in New Zealand and to produce wine actually.
That's nice.
And I've tried wines from Australia, from America, because afterwards I moved to America. I worked in Sonoma Valley as well, and I found there great wines. But you know, the more you try, the more you learn. And the more you learn, you're getting in good shapes when it takes, you know, to try a wine, truly try a wine. And I was in a bar in Sydney with a good friend, and as a gift, he said, "Okay, I want to buy a bottle of Bordeaux because you're from Bordeaux." And so we had a bottle of Château Lanson, a bottle of Château Lanson, and when I tried it, I was like, "Oh my God, that's quite a wine." And it compares to what I've tried so far, you know, in
just another level.
Just another, yes. I won't say the other one was bad, but it was just different. Yeah. And it reminds me the passions I have inside me. I didn't know that, but for me, wine was at the moment I had like like, you know, like a picture in my mind, say, okay, you have to do that. Because I'm passionate about two things. I love cars and I love sports. I do a lot of sports. And for me, I really wanted to be a car dealer by that time.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
In kind of way.
Yes. And the passion of wine. On my way back, I said, okay, I have to work in a wine business. That's what I want to do.
Great.
So
that's funny.
And the more I work in this is not a business. This is more than a job.
Yeah.
Like you said, I grew up here, and
it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and getting the idea. Every time, the good thing about this kind of jobs is never ending.
Yeah.
You have your week of work, and your Saturday night with friends, and you bring a bottle of Gruaud Larose, and then you're talking about the estate again.
Yeah, but that's it.
And that is not something you suffer, you know. This is something you're happy, you're pleased to do.
Only if you have passion about something.
Yes, but you can do that if you want to work in the wine industry. If you don't have passion, forget it. Just forget it.
But it's the same what you said with the socialism here.
Yes.
Yeah. If you ask your employees to come on a Saturday night, they need to have passion for the job.
Yes. Yeah, otherwise, it simply doesn't work.
Wow. I think it's a great note to end. Thank you, Arnaud, for the tasting as well. Thank you for your time. Yeah, I will visit in a while for the imprimeur. But yeah, thank you. And I hope the people and the viewers have learned something. I think they would. I think they will. And then if you have any questions about the winery or Gruaud Larose or whatever, or you want to visit the place, I will leave everything in the description. And then you can contact them directly. And then they will be very pleased to invite you or to let you, to show you around, for sure.
So first, I'd like to thank you, Yannick. First of all, you're a great friend, and I truly appreciate every time you came here, because we were mentioning that passion is very important for both of us, and I think wine is a real passion for you. So we every time with each other we are talking about wines for ages. Yeah. But thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time to not mentioning the price, not mentioning this kind of thing, but mentioning what we do here, the work behind every bottle of wine, which is definitely the most important thing. So thank you for that. And you guys, like Yannick said, please feel free to come over. Doors are open. We can have the fingers crossed that the COVID crisis will end up soon. At least we leave a small room to travel. And then, thanks to that, you will be able to discover the landscape, our beautiful region, the people who works here, and we'll have the pleasure to discover your thoughts, because we don't know anything. It's an exchange, like the wine is. And yes, hope to see you soon. Thank you, guys.
See you on the next one. Voilà. Right on time.